This historical evidence is overwhelming that the founding fathers intended impeachment to be used to deal with the commission of indictable crimes and the abuse of power.
We're here because the madcap wild goose chase to impeach Joe Biden has produced no wild geese.
Found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir.
Even Fox News is lampooning the fact that their own expert witnesses repeatedly say,
"We ain't found shit."
More than a dozen GOP members in Biden majority districts don't want to go anywhere near that fantasy production. So the Trump-Putin mega faction, headed up by the distinguished gentlelady from Georgia, has been given this worthless trinket of a consolation prize, who has obviously committed no treason, no bribery, no high crimes, no misdemeanors, nothing indictable or even indictable, if you prefer.
Ouch. Ouch. Welcome back to the show. Man. It is Sunday. It was nice yesterday. It's cold today. I'm angry. It was so beautiful yesterday. Anyway, welcome back to the show. I'm Jeremy. This is Mike. We got another great weekly show lined up for you. Lots to go over. Lots of insane stuff, and some stuff I'm like really upset about that. We'll get into.
There's some insane shit, some angry shit, and then some shit.
Yeah, exactly. We will be talking about Trump. The RNC is going broke, or is damn near broke. And their spending is ridiculous. The stuff they spend their money on, you can tell really where the priorities are. Trump speaks some sort of, I'm assuming it's English, in Harrisburg. I can't quite make it out. It's more gibberish than anything else, where he slurs his words, and he is a very, very, very dark shade of brown. Ooh, boy. Yeah. The fake union rally, a lot of you guys have already heard about. The Democrats are finally fighting back, but they're fighting back in the right way in the halls of Congress, to the point where they're making Marjorie Taylor Greene just kind of storm her way out of the Capitol. You know, it's funny. All the people that stormed into the Capitol, she's the one storming out of it. Not really funny, but anyway. Then Biden, we got to talk about the report that came out, and were the
political hit job.
That is, to me, the relentless pursuit to make Biden look bad, even though he is doing very well. We'll go over some of his, some of the accomplishments that he's had, despite having the most useless Congress in American history. And then I do have a weird post from Trump that I think he's taking credit for Taylor Swift's success. I'm not sure.
We'll get into that.
Before we go over all that stuff, we do have a guest today back on the show. Let's bring back one Tammy Moyer. How you doing, Tammy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back on, guys.
Absolutely. No, it's been too long, and that's because we're really bad at putting scheduling together.
Yeah, partially you guys, partially me on getting availability to line up. It's almost like I got busy for a little while, but glad to be back here, and glad to be sharing my sarcastic humor about idiot politicians again.
No, but I learned something new about you today. Do you want to share? What about your new hobby that you have?
Winter Olympic sport-related hobby.
Yeah, I'll admit, man, I'm crazy obsessed with curling. When the Olympics come on, man, I'm down for curling.
Yes,
I'll watch that shit all day long. I don't know what it is. It's hypnotic.
I don't know, but years ago I said, and I meant this with as much admiration as anyone would believe a white guy would ever say, but I truly mean this. Any sport where a pregnant woman can kick the shit out of their competitor is fucking amazing, and it deserves the curse that I'm saying.
From Canada, she is phenomenal, and until recently, she was just the premier curler. She got cast in the last 2 years, right about the time she was having the child, but still finished second place in the Canadian.
That's still amazing. Yeah, that's
insane.
While 8 months pregnant.
I don't know. That's sports.
I know. It's like, what's next? You're literally having birth on your way down the
Winter Olympics watch party, and I can give you more insights than you really have, apparently. So,
well, unfortunately, this year's Summer Olympics, so we'll have to wait a little bit. But
that
I respect any sport where there's that much precision and focus involved. I think is what it is, because
I could actually
what it is.
Wax poetic about curling for way longer than I should, but
hundredths of a second matter.
Yep. So,
all right, So into the subject matter, man. We've got a lot going on in politics this week. Democrats are coming out looking like superstars, man, and they're getting upset and they're getting angry, but they're doing it in the right places. They're doing it in the halls of Congress. They're not on every, and they're doing it on the proper news networks. They're not going, unfortunately, we have two. They always talk about two tiers of justice. Like we have two tiers of news right now.
Yeah,
you've got right-wing media, and then you've got everybody else.
It doesn't appear,
you mean Twitter isn't the only way you're supposed to reach people?
You know what? It used to be, I don't want to say reliable, but it was good as a source where you could see what's going on. And if you had any intelligence, you would then take that and go research it further somewhere else. But now everything on Twitter is just racism and nonsense. So
it's bad too, man.
There's not even a point to go there. It's
not even about free speech at this point, because this is not what free speech means.
No, free speech isn't just say whatever the hell you want.
Once your speech becomes harmful to another human being, guess what? That's no longer part of being free speech.
I mean, one of my favorite musicians has a line in the song, "When did freedom become a reason to hate?"
Yeah,
justify a
racist. I know. It shouldn't be the opposite. It should be the opposite. You're exactly right. Before we go into our material, let me go over this Donald Trump post. Because I'm pretty sure he's taking credit for Taylor Swift, and he's like, "You need to be following me." Wah. I signed and was responsible for the. I always feel so dramatic when I read these. For the Music Modernization Act for Taylor Swift and all the other musical artists. Joe Biden didn't do anything for Taylor and never will. Oh my God, this guy's like, there's no way she could endorse crooked Joe Biden, the worst and most corrupt president in the history of our country, and be this loyal to the man who made her so much money.
What? So yet again,
besides that, I like her boyfriend Travis.
A white guy has to take credit for a woman's success, because that's obvious. We can't have successful women without white guys.
That's so funny, man.
And what I find funny about that is he's always telling you who and what he is. So that right there is transactional. I passed a law, whatever the hell it was, for you.
And he thinks
you have to show loyalty to me. No, the reason she's not showing, quote, loyalty, which is not an assumption, by the way, to you, is because you're a racist, rapist, treasonous scumbag, and she has morals and is just trying to get people to vote. Hopefully they vote for the right side of history. That would be against you. But you just hate her because she's literally more successful and popular than you are.
She has more influence than he does. He can't sway that many votes. You know how many votes Taylor Swift can sway herself?
She goes out and makes a statement about wanting people to register vote, and there's tens of thousands of people within a week or two.
Yeah,
she goes out and starts talking about getting people to vote, and the people who are showing up are under the age of 35. We know what that means demographic-wise and who they're going to vote for. She's putting thousands and thousands more voters on the rolls when some elections literally were decided by a single vote last time.
No.
This scares the hell out of them. This is enough to swing tight districts against them. This is why they have to go out of their way to make her look weak, crazy, powerless,
and
whatever they want to try
every time they do. She has such
to make her look crazy.
But she's built such a reputation, and she's done her career such justice that there really isn't anything bad you can say about her. Almost
people need to realize it's funny to me because
she's had a long career.
That's so. I was just gonna say, people think like she just showed up when Travis Kelce decided to date her, as if he's the catch and she's not. By the way, like you had these goofball people, these goofy ass people, Charlie Kirk, all the other ones that are like, man, he's gonna get a $70,000 bonus if he wins the fucking Super Bowl, and everyone's like, she literally made $1 billion by making music.
I know, right?
Her own music. And when some scumbag decided to just not give her the royalties, she re-recorded her entire music catalog to then own it and then go, mine. And all of her fans are intelligent and went, we're going to buy her version now.
Exactly.
See, what they don't understand is, and by they, I mean the right wing, the Trumps, the Republican Party, is they think it works like it used to, where we tell you who to vote for and you vote for. No, the new generation goes, we know we should vote. We're going to do the research on our own, because that often falls in line with a progressive mindset. The Republicans think, hey, why is everyone who goes to college turn out to be a progressive? It's all part of the same thing. They don't understand The new generation, youth, progression, compassion. They don't understand any of this, and it's starting to show in who they attack.
The latest poll that came out, and granted the methodology behind it may have been a little flawed when looking at it in deeper detail, but regardless, just on the core level of the people under 35 years of age who were polled as part of this, more people would have voted for somebody who was endorsed by Taylor Swift than would have voted for people endorsed by Donald Trump.
I think I saw. Yeah, I saw something on that too.
This is what terrifies them. This is absolutely what terrifies them. And of course, the more they attack Taylor, the further they drive everyone who likes her.
Exactly.
Right,
and the irony is,
I'm not going to talk them out of being Taylor Swift fans, but
they're trying to goad her into doing something and saying something, and she's not going to do it. But
exactly.
Anyway.
So, all right. So moving on to GOP spending, ridiculous. Most of it obviously been on Donald Trump's legal bills, not just his, but his kids. Recently, we're going to talk about it on a future episode. Ivanka found out that she's received over $2 million in legal assistance from PAC money. And this for saying, I don't recall. But here's some other expenditures that they have from TYT broke it down for us. Let me play this real quick.
This should be fun. I love these types of stories. Now, in addition to that, Red State also put together a chart comparing total spending by the RNC and the DNC in specific categories between October 20th of 2022 and November 30th of 2023. So let's take a look at this chart. According to the chart, the RNC weirdly spent $298,000 on office supplies. But then you compare it to the DNC, where they spent only $45,000, $45,005 to be specific. Management consulting really stood out as well, with the RNC shelling out more than $1 million. The DNC, on the other hand, they spent just $114,000. The DNC spent $0 on media booking consultants, but that wasn't the case with the RNC, which spent $116,341. Republicans also very clearly like to travel in style because they spent more than $263,000 on fancy car travel, limousines and things like that, while Democrats spent just $7,000.
Media booking consultants and like, for real, like you can tell that it's office furniture, supplies, $298,000 on freaking office supplies and furniture. Really?
Welcome to corporate America, which is what they support and model. You're looking
one thing
at
I did.
Bidding being improperly handled to acquire supplies, or over purchasing because they're not actually paying attention to what's used at ground level. You're talking about management consultants instead of just actually, I don't know,
$1 million
or doing your jobs. No, we got to bring in all
bucks.
these consultants to tell us how to do things and how to change things, even though those changes usually just gunk up the gears and slow things down. Oh, and let's look at that top line number. It's almost like the RNC is getting less money because Trump is siphoning off some of that money.
You think, right?
And hurting the party in every other.
It's almost like that. The DNC doesn't have any 91 indictments to defend against, or any defamation trials to help defend against.
So they also spent on limo services $263,000. Like, really, you got to have a limo everywhere you go.
This is the thing.
The one thing I did notice, though, that the Dems did spend more because they probably have more available, but they also paid their employees more. The payroll was higher.
Wait a minute. So you're saying, now look, I'm going to make one statement first, that I'm not separating completely the Democrats from being virulent capitalists on our society, because they are as susceptible to the draw of the class system as anyone. But the numbers show you the Republicans are more obsessed with this separation of us and them. We have this, we take limos because we deserve it. The amount of people that you look at that believe they deserve this high class treatment that are serving in our country, they are going to be the Republicans. You get more younger people in the Democratic side who don't care about that, because you are having people that realize materialism is what is driving us to die as a society.
I used to be very materialistic. I will admit I used to be that way, and my first pursuit after I got out of the military was trying to make as much money as I could, and honestly, it was miserable. Yeah, nothing I ever bought really fulfilled me in any kind of way. But I had to learn that the hard way. I had to lose it all to learn that, though. You know what I mean? Because I didn't appreciate shit that I had, and now that I lost it all, it's like, okay, now I get it.
Republicans, you know what I mean? But be the CEOs, and they want to have absolute control and all of the golden parachute backups and everything else. They don't want accountability. They don't want to have to do anything normal. They just want to be above everyone.
It's almost like it's a organized crime racket.
It pretty much is. I mean, let's just say. I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there. I won't call it out yet, but there's close. Once Jack Smith starts indicting more Congress people that were involved in Jan 6, then we'll talk more. All right, so moving on. The RNC. Oh, also, didn't Ronna McDaniel resign, or is she planning on resigning? I think.
No, she did. She's out. Like the day after Daddy Papa Jesus Orange Trump went down and visited her. By the way,
how could they? I mean, she's honestly, she was in a bad. I don't know how she thought that was going to work out well, because of course she was going to be a scapegoat. Oh, she was off at her job now. Of course, she was the best person because Trump only hires the best people. But once they're done, he was like, they suck.
She followed Trump's orders to the T the whole way through. And the moment Trump's orders turn out to be absolutely horrible in results, it's her fault for doing them.
It's almost like Trump doesn't know he's a moron. The people that follow him let him be a moron. And yet again, it's another woman that's the scapegoat for the shitty, stupid, ignorant, rich billionaire man. Fascinating.
Exactly. All right. Speaking of Trump and the fascist orange Jesus, I don't know what you want to call him.
Shithead.
Yeah, exactly. So here's him talking about the border bill. And he's the reason the border bill got killed, and why he has any influence. He shouldn't have any influence the way he does over the Republican Party. Right now, we pretty much have two different governments working against each other.
That's true.
If you want to look at it from a broader perspective. So let me play this clip real quick.
In what regard?
I think it's not going to be able to function. I think look at even things like supply chains, things we never even heard about. You never heard that term. Everything worked under me.
And you have Republicans itching to sign off on this in the Senate. I mean,
well, it's hard to believe, because I think it probably would mean the end of their career. This is a Democrat trap. It's a trap for Republicans that would be so stupid, so foolish to sign a bill like this. This bill can't be signed. And it's not only that, it's massive amounts of money going out of town, as we say, going out of town, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's so bad on the border. I've never seen anything like it. Actually, it's one of the worst, one of the dumbest bills I've ever seen. I think it's dead, totally dead at the House. I think they have almost unanimous support. But I can't imagine anybody wanting to approve.
Why has he seen it?
The border is the #1 priority of the Republican Party every election.
They're screaming about it all the time.
A bipartisan agreement to deal with not immigration reform, which is what the Democrats want, but actual border control reform, including things that will shut down access to the border if too many people cross in one day.
Yeah.
And it actually has things in it that would work to improve our border security. And let's vote against it, because, oh my God, we need something to scare the old white people with. Dear God, we have to have something to scare the old people with come election time. So don't sign this. It does too much of what we say it would, and therefore we can't complain about it anymore.
If the Republican, it's virtually the Republican wish list of things they want on border control. I mean, it's not as bad as HR 2, because HR 2 is freaking barbaric. But I mean, how is it a Democrat trap if it was written by Republicans?
Well, the funny part, what I love about this whole process is there's two clear things going to me. The first one is that they obviously are not going to pass anything of any kind, because they are so afraid that their only thing they think they could run on, Biden could pick right up and take from them. And the reason I say that is not because that they didn't pass the bill that they requested be bipartisan. They had a standalone border bill that was written by Republicans and proposed in parallel with the other one, and they didn't pass that one. So everyone's focusing on the the co-signed bill that bad Democrat trap. We don't want that, even though it gives them everything they want and more. But they're not voting on their own bill, so that means they're not trying to pass it. But the second thing that I find fun is you look at the understanding of the average person that is against that bill, the voters. And I'm coming from this from a position of, I think Jeremy and I just spent 3 days yelling at trolls on some Instagram posts out of some border things, because every point that they make comes down to one thing. Well, it gave more money to a foreign country. Okay. Let's say you don't agree with giving money to a foreign country for whatever reason. We could talk about that. You're wrong, but we could talk about it. But what I find funny is they're upset about the number. So they're saying, well, if Ukraine got, I'm making up numbers here, 100 billion, and the border only got 20 billion, that's not fair. Are you that dumb? What if what you need to fix the border only costs 20 billion? Did you ever think that maybe an appropriate number is assigned to what the cost should be? So just because someone else is getting more doesn't mean you're not getting enough. Stop thinking like third graders and start understanding what's happening on the planet. Maybe you'll figure out what's right.
I got to throw in while you brought it up, because I know it's not later in the episode, but Ukraine, for fuck's sake, that is one of the biggest things for European security, and European security is American security.
Thank you. Think a war criminal is going to stop after Ukraine? You don't think he's going to continue going? Like
he said as much himself. The stupid Tucker Carlson interview that he did with Putin.
Yeah,
he said himself every one of the things that's a Republican illusion about Putin pretty much shot down. He doesn't care about God. He was the aggressor in Ukraine. It's like all the narratives they've pushed out. Putin himself was like, "Oh, fuck that! No, that's not what it is."
He even made fun of Tucker.
He said Poland started World War II. I would just like to point that out. But okay, let's continue.
Right, so I have a video of a really, really, really brown Trump.
Oh, he's in blackface again.
Yeah, I mean, does he pay somebody to do the makeup, or does he just like take it on himself in the morning?
I assume the same person who does the diaper change does the makeup.
right. I call right. I want to thank Meidas Touch Network. I would thank Meidas Touch Network for all the footage they've got over the last couple of days. But this one's great. I call it "Welcome to the Clown Show." This is from Harrisburg at an NRA rally.
Part of it. You saw what happened in Atlanta with Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani. I know all about the marbles. I can tell you every marble. But these beautiful columns that are incredible how they could have done it years ago without the powerful tractor. During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. I cooperated with the very unfriendly and hostile feds. I cooperated far more than Biden did, who set records to Chinatown. They're trying to make it the other way. No, Biden fought them very hard, and they never got what they wanted to get anyway. I even gave the DOJ and the FBI lunch at Mar-a-Lago. You know, they say I didn't behave. I gave them lunch. I mean, I saw one the other day walking out with a refrigerator. He's got this massive... I said, he's a pretty strong guy, right? Rich people are given $7,000 subsidies to buy luxury electric. Who can get elected with this stuff? A woke military. We have a great military. I rebuilt.
Wow.
Oh, that's so good.
Chinatown.
It doesn't matter about giving lunch to federal investigators, buddy. It matters that you didn't give the documents to the federal investigators.
Yeah, and you know what the fucked up part was about that whole story he's telling? He got so mad. He didn't buy it lunch. I think Alina Habba bought them lunch, and he got so pissed at her, he started throwing shit, ketchup on the walls, baby. He didn't buy him shit. He was mad about it. There's so much to unpack in that 1 minute.
$7,000 for the electric cars. By the way, that's a tax credit for anyone who purchased an electric car, not just the rich, and it doesn't have to be luxury. It's any electric car.
Subsidies.
I was talking about that with a friend just last week.
That's funny.
But the crowd the entire time is dead silent.
Well, they did make a sound when he was making fun of Fani Willis's name.
Funny.
Which
funny.
Like, at this point, every single person that is cheering for him is someone that would allow their child to be a bully, because they were probably bullies.
The number one killer of kids in the United States is guns, and this asshole's on stage bragging about, I did nothing. The
way he brags about ending Roe. He brags about ending Roe, which, if you're a Christian nationalist, you believe the only thing that Roe did was allow child murder. But then you say, I did nothing about guns.
You can thank Trump for the gun violence. He did nothing.
Yeah. So thank him for the gun violence, and thank him for ending abortion.
He's taking credit for it. We should thank him for the gun violence. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
If you're cool with that, if you're cool with gun violence.
I mean, if you want to take credit for everything, you want to take credit for that one too. We'll give it to you. That one's fine, actually. You can take credit for that one.
And supply change. Nobody's ever used that term before. Well, maybe not supply change.
No
but
shit,
talking
right?
A lot about supply chain during early COVID. Kind of had a little bit to do with the way he set things up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just kind of.
He's a great anonymous.
I love how he said that though. Nobody's ever heard that term before. No shit, because you just made it up.
Liquid gold.
Literally just made it up. No wonder. Of course, somebody's heard of it because you're a dumbass.
I mean, we got Trump with the supply change and MTG with indictments at the beginning here. So
yeah. Maybe they're treating their own language.
I mean, I'm not knocking anybody for how they read, but if she's in Congress, and seriously, when you read with your finger, that's not a good sign of intelligence. I mean, it's not a good sign that you have trouble reading the documents and you can't pronounce the word. I mean, there's 4 indictments currently against Donald Trump. You think she would at least get that word right?
Is the assumption is I'm gonna go on a frickin' limb here. The assumption is that Marjorie Taylor Greene, in her quest to point out the truth, discovered this passage and realized that pertaining to the indictments, she would read it to prove her point. But if she did, that means she would know what indictments are and she would be able to recognize the word. So she's telling on herself that she just went to one of her staffers that was like, find me a thing to read. And they went here and they highlighted it and she read it and couldn't
That's
read
true.
it.
She
That's
did
what
not
happened. That's what happened.
Because she didn't practice that. Can you imagine her in her office? Indictable.
If I was her staff, I would say, Marge, she's dumb, and you could play to her arrogance easily. So I'd be like, Marge, just because I want to make sure someone didn't sneak in a weird word, could you read that in front of me just in case for 5 minutes?
Funny, bro. That is so funny. How
I'll be glad to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene staffer if she wants to pay me. I would be the best she ever had.
You know, one of these days, her staffers are going to turn on her, and they're going to highlight some really effed up shit.
Yep.
Oh, she's just going to go into a meeting and read it
when this is done.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
For the tell-all.
Someone on her staff is keeping notes.
Oh my god!
Better be. I need to see this.
Yeah.
All right. Next is the fake union rally. Finally, got exposed. We actually talked about this, I think, back when it happened it was because during the union auto strike. Because the Detroit news, national news, really didn't pick up on this until now. But now that the reports are out, is what they spent their money on.
And it's even more.
They spent $20,000 on renting a place and pretending it was a union rally. They gave
and why is this?
Signs is so funny. All right, what?
Why is this? Because Biden won the endorsement of the largest union in the country.
Right.
Oh, and so Trump was afraid of going to the Republican debate, so we needed something else to do that night. And two birds with one stone. Let's pretend I have union support and dodge the debate by putting on this fake thing.
I think we knew it was fake because I remember they on reports in the news from Detroit, they did a good job of people saying, "Oh no, I'm not a union member."
Yeah.
Union members for Trump signs, and I'm not an auto worker.
Wait, Tammy, earlier
I can't give you my name. All right, let me play this video real quick.
Okay, wait,
it's so awful, man. It's Earth 2. This is what happens on Earth 2.
Yeah.
He did a fake event. I mean, the whole thing was fake. And then it was in the Detroit press the next day that it was fake. This you skipped the debate for? It was so embarrassing at the time. And now, as of right now, there are receipts. Literal receipts, the campaign finance filings that just came out for all the various campaigns. Reporter Jonathan Oosting at Bridge, Michigan dug in and found that on that day in September, the Trump campaign indeed paid a $20,000 rental fee to rent that auto parts plant which was not a union facility, so he could pretend it was full of union auto workers who supported him when it was actually just full of randos holding signs that said that's who they were, even though that's not who they were.
Here was the term.
So funny.
He brought in his own crisis actors, like they always accuse everyone at every school shooting of being a crisis actor ever. Look at Parkland forever. And then these are his crisis actors. Only his crisis was, I don't want to go to the debate.
Yeah.
I know. That's what he hired. He actually made up his own union rally as opposed to going to an actual debate.
There's some deep psychological shit to that. Like hiring non-union people to technically
it's literally a look at me rally.
Guild to do it, which is a union.
He hired people to come look at him. That's what he did. It's a look at me rally.
He actually hired yes men. He hired people to stand there and cheer for him.
Here, we'll give you $100 if you hold this sign, dipshit. All right, cool.
Let's circle back. Trump. Here's managerial consulting fees right there. This is those numbers from.
You have an idea. All right. Just hire some people to hold signs.
All right, so moving on to there's a couple videos I want to play. One is of MTG just getting absolutely trolled by Representative Jamie Raskin. And then Rob Menendez, not to be confused with Bob Menendez.
No, we don't like Bob Menendez.
Off. All right, this one's great, though. I just love how they're getting under her skin. She's freaking out now.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
No, I will not yield to one of your stupid questions that are always attacking me and attacking President Trump.
How about a mediocre question?
No, I don't want to. I do not want
an
your
excellent question.
No,
a smart question.
No, my time.
An intelligent question.
You have no smart or intelligent questions.
Glorious.
They're laughing at her.
Yeah,
they're laughing at her.
On her side. That's the irony.
I love Raskin representing my state so much right now.
He's awesome.
She is basically the Trump mouthpiece. I hate using that term when it comes to her, but she is basically the Trump mouthpiece in Congress.
At least it's not Lauren Boebert with the right hand of Trump.
Yeah,
the right hand of Trump is busy right now.
Yeah, don't forget about Alina Habba. I'm just surrounded by women. Oh man! All right, that's so funny though. But they're the thing I like is one, their truth is on our side. It really is. We don't have to make anything up to make these people look ridiculous as they really are. We don't have to use AI photos. We don't have to make up fake voices and stuff, generated with AI. We don't have to do any of that. All we got to do is just show you what they're doing. That's what I love about this. And that's what they're doing. But they're doing it in the right way. They're not on social media. They're not screaming on the news like, you got to go for Biden because, like Donald Trump. I have the video for the next show, I think for Saturday, of Donald Trump tell the NRA meeting in Pennsylvania. He literally said, you got to vote for me, because the Democrats are going to change the name of the state. I swear to God, I'm not making this
up. Is it going to be Wokesylvania?
Right. And what are they going to change? Like, where did he even come up with that?
Wokelandia?
Tell me the guy's not demented and just senile. They're going to change the name of your state if you don't vote for me. Like, how's it going to scare somebody? I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I love Pennsylvania, but I don't have that much pride. If they want to change the name, I really don't give a shit.
Is the ghost of William Penn going to come back and murder somebody if
right?
The name's changed? Is that what we're supposed to be afraid of?
I'd be okay if the ghost of William Penn came back and smacked him. Smacked Trump.
All right, let me play Rob Menendez just going absolutely
this
crazy.
is a good one.
There's some other clips if you could find them. I had to actually really look for, because I watched so many videos. I really had to go back and try and find the appropriate clips. But this one's great. Here we go.
And this impeachment's part of that. We have held zero, I repeat, zero full committee hearings dedicated to emergency preparedness, cyber threats, infrastructure protection, transportation security, Department of Homeland Security management, or information sharing and intelligence efforts. With the global dynamic that we have not lived up to our oversight obligation here on this committee because you all are obsessed with the border. Because you bend the knee to the orange Jesus, as you refer to him, across the aisle. That's what this is about. And we have failed our jurisdiction on this committee. So I'm tired of being lectured. You know, I try to listen here. I try to be a team player. I really do. I try not to engage in the partisanship, but I've had it. I've listened to a lot of accusations here today. We are here on a sham impeachment hearing because of the partisanship of this committee, and enough is enough. Ms. Green asked the American people are listening. They are, and they're tired of the partisanship of this Republican majority that has failed to get things done. I yield back to the chair.
Damn!
I really wish every Republican voter could see that transcript. Don't tell them who said it. Just have them read it if they're capable of it, and I want to know what their opinion is, because that is the most reasonable, articulate, simple pointing out of exactly why the Republicans are monsters, because they want to get your votes, and they're doing it in such a way that it doesn't matter they've done nothing. They have you wrapped around this messianic figure that does nothing for you, only harms you, is continuing to marginalize you through the fact that everyone else is just starting to hate on you even more. Okay. He's made it to the point where seeing a flag in this country is indicative that you're a moron. That's not how it's supposed to be. And yet they still are continuing to do it. Let's have these fake impeachments. Let's ignore the fact that half of us asked for preemptive pardons. Let's forget that January 6th actually happened.
I know.
But they're not doing anything for you. So that's all that you have left to remember, is that the last thing the Republicans ever tried to do was take over this country, and they've done nothing in the years since. Nothing.
And we saw in the intro, in the clips you played there is no evidence of any impeachable offense. They've been looking for this for longer than this congressional session. They've been looking for evidence on Biden than before the election.
When Trump was in power.
They've been trying to drag up anything and everything. The closest thing they found to any wrongdoing is a loan to his brother that was repaid, that was given while he wasn't in any political office. It was between his time in the vice presidency and the presidency. It's had that he talked on the phone with people who worked at Burisma. Not that anything was given, but he said hello to people. Excuse me. Oh, he was on a phone call with his son and said hello to someone in the room with his son.
I know exactly.
That's totally pandering influence compared to Trump, who's forcing people to pay to stay at his own hotels for political benefit and negotiating. Oh, you can't meet with me unless you give me money. Yeah,
I'm glad,
it's totally the same.
I'm glad channels like Meidas Touch and others exist, because they actually show what is going on in Congress. Because I never, before I got into all this, I didn't think it was any kind of interesting things to do with politics. But it's wow, did I jump in at the right time?
Once you become a political junkie, it never leaves you. It's bad.
Yeah, and everybody asks me like
for your entire life.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Politics is a second language for a
I'm 47.
large portion of us down here. Live, breathe, eat. Even if you're not directly connected to it, so many people in your lives are employed because of it. Some agency, some political staff position that they're working in. I'm surrounded by it, which is why I say so in touch with it. In addition to the fact that right now politics dictates whether or not I get to still have rights and medical care in this country.
I know that's
as
crazy,
a trans woman. So I have to follow what's going on, and I can't back off on it. But
that's true. You don't have the luxury. You don't have the luxury of not living it.
But I guess that's why they don't want people to get involved, because they don't want to see all the dirt and shit they do behind the scenes. 100%. And you can ask Mike. Almost everything I've learned about politics, almost everything I've learned in the past, I think, 18 months, maybe a year, since we started doing podcasting and stuff. Before that, I really was very ignorant to the ways of politics, how things worked, and what goes on behind the scenes. But I think now more than ever, with democracy being on the ballot, people really need to start paying attention to what is going on in politics, because it is terrifying what the alternative is.
And the more
we're going to talk about that in a second.
The more you pay attention, the more you see how this has been set up for the current situation over time. The Republicans aren't making their power grab now. They're acting now because they've been making their power grab since the 1980s. And under Trump, all of the judicial appointments that they blocked during the Obama years. They are suddenly coming forward during Trump's administration. They're pushing through all these judges. That was their administrative priority in Congress. Everything put judges through.
That was Mitch McConnell's own goal.
Yeah, I hope
guess
the Supreme
what?
Court.
Look at what the judicial is having happen now. All these different situations where they're making rulings on critical things, including voting rights in this country. They've turned the judicial to be their lapdogs.
They have.
And they're letting the judicial
They really
attempt
have.
to change this country. And are we fortunate that some of them have decided to uphold their oaths and their personal principles over party? Because there have been some Trump-appointed judges who've still stood up for what's right for democracy.
That's true.
And whenever we get talking voting rights on an episode, I will run down all of what's been going on in that, because it's insane.
The justices need to realize, though, that if Trump gets back into power, they're easily replaceable. If they don't do everything he tells them to do, they're not the law in the land anymore.
That's why,
they don't, you know,
as much
now
as
they are. They have a lot of power. I think they have too much power.
I think they are going to rule in favor of Trump to be on the ballots, but I do not believe they are going to give him immunity, because putting him on the ballot, as dumb as it is and as shitty as the precedent it sets, he is not going to win by vote. He's not. No. The way things are, he has screwed up any support he had that would sway it. All the women are like, no. A lot of other people of other groups are finally like, no.
Gen Z
is obviously their biggest target, and they're going to say no. So
independents are turning largely against him. To quote one of my favorite other YouTube political commentators, Bo of the Fifth Column, the problem with Trump is you can't win a primary without Trump. You can't win a general with him.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm quite okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Unfortunately,
I'm just worried about
senatorial seats up on the Democrat side, not enough of them up on the Republican.
That's
so it's
true.
Still terrifying.
You really see how desperate they're getting, and Trump's doing everything on his platform but calling for actual violence. I mean, he's beating around the bush so bad, but eventually this guy's just gonna, I don't know. I think as time goes on, as he loses his empire, which is inevitable now, and the dollar signs just keep adding up. And what he's gonna it was 370, it was 250. Then they had the trial. That's 370. Then the Barbara Jones report came out. Then probably went up to $500,000. Then we find out about perjury. Oh man, I swear to God, I hope it's like just ridiculous amount of money, and Trump is going.
I'm throwing a dart
out because you can see on that tweet about Taylor Swift, he only cares about money. He thinks that if I make you money, you're loyal to me. Like I bought and paid for you. Like, you know what? That's not how it works, dipshit.
Except he doesn't actually pay people, which is why Giuliani has to file for
bankruptcy. That's the best. That's the best.
Paid him for any of the work he
Full
did.
circle.
Watching him and Mike Lindell go down has been actually quite enjoyable. I will admit. I know it's bad to say, but watching their demise has been funny. Unfortunately, they screwed up a lot of lives. Giuliani screwed up millions of lives. Most people don't know that he was responsible for keeping OxyContin on the market. Not solely responsible, but he had a lot to do with it because he had a lot of influence in the government and Congress. OxyContin was killing people like crazy, and Giuliani was instrumental in keeping that shit on the market. And it
who are the drug dealers?
The
rich white people.
Exactly. So Giuliani is defamed people, ruined lives. And Mike Lindell employed a lot of people, so their lives are ruined because he's a just complete psycho who believed in everything, or at least acted like he believed everything. I think he was the one that believed everything.
Mike Lindell is a true believer, 100%.
Yeah, he's a true believer of all the theories and everything.
He'll climb up on the fire himself.
Right. All right. Let me play this next clip. Is not about a Democrat speaking out, but this is Chris Christie on The View. And I like how he talks about what Republicans actually say about Trump behind his back.
And I said this a number of times. In private, Republicans in the House, in the Senate, governors, all say to you, he's awful, it's an abomination, it's going to be terrible. But none of them have the guts to stand up because they love their title more than they love their country.
That's disgusting. That's disgraceful. We've said that before. It's party before country, which is unfortunate.
They just, they're worried about a primary. They're worried about him coming out against them. And what they should learn is that, I think, is that what you're going to be really judged for over the long haul is what you stand for, who you are and what you stand for. And
that's what Liz Cheney said.
And they're going to have to live with having been with him.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Chris Christie
well said, right?
Chris Christie is smart because we're all starting to forget that he's a typical classic scumbag Republican, but he's really, really, really taking the hardline stance against Trump after he prepped him for some debates. But he's now playing the long game. I like to think he sees the reality and goes, okay, he's not going to win by votes. It's just not possible. And everyone's too hypervigilant. He's not going to do this by any scumbacious means because he has no actual power now.
Right.
So the chances are we're going to get back to normal. And then he's setting himself up to be this Republican establishment champion.
It makes
sense,
what? Though. I mean, it's smart.
I hate that I yearn for the time of George Bush, one of the classic war criminals. I hate for that I yearn for a Bridgegate Chris Christie. I hate this, but if what it takes to get back to cross the aisle, some sort of human interaction, and get away from Trumpism, I'll take a Chris Christie. That's what we have.
The guy don't like what he did in the past, but he'll be remembered for the guy who stood against Trump. I mean, he pretty much stood alone almost. You know what I mean? As far as talking out against Trump, everybody else was loyal to Trump all the way to the end until recently, but more and more people are starting to break away from him.
The direction the world was going pre-Trump and what seemed like was continuing even partway into his term is why I felt safe to come out as trans.
Yeah.
And within 3 months after me coming out, these laws started going up nationwide and the talk started going against my very existence being allowed. I tell you what, I would be happy to go back to the Republican Party that I used to actually support in my ignorant youth. I won't support them, but I tell you what, going back to that, maybe we find some civility again.
You know,
just a little bit.
I'm very something that I've been trying to better myself on the last year or so is actually I've been reading several books about not just LGBTQ things, but trans specifically, because it's something that I surely can empathize, sympathize, all those good eyes, but I could never truly imagine the mindset of. So when you just said that you saw a political climate that you even took that into consideration, that is fascinating to me, because it's, again, you're seeing it where all the little pieces of worry come from. I'm looking at it from more of a self-centered, what would I feel in this? But I'm not seeing similarly to how I cannot understand the Black experience. I don't see the looks across the room. I don't think about that. I might think about the bill that passed, but I don't necessarily think about going into that restaurant where it's, you get what I'm trying to say.
I've come to the realization when I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me.
I'm going to go with when I first got my hormone pills, they sat on my bathroom counter for 2.5 weeks with me looking at them every day going, can I actually do this? Is this the right time for me to do this? What's it going to do screwing up my life financially, socially? Is it going to cost me family?
That's crazy.
And they think that we make these decisions because we're confused. They think we do this because we want some advantage in sports or to see the inside of a women's bathroom. By the way, it's just a bathroom with stalls, just like the men's room. I don't know why people ever
There's nothing magical going on in there.
It doesn't smell like perfume and have magic. The only thing really different is you have tampon dispensers and little areas.
I'll leave some mystery for the guys.
Next to the toilet stall. That's about all the change you get.
All right.
I'll leave it there. That's for another episode.
Yeah, because you and I can have conversations for hours. Maybe we have to do an episode like that.
I'll be happy to
10 minutes.
rant on
We got
trans issues and what it means.
What's the name of the guy that wrote this report, that sniper report that came out against Biden? I can't remember. Hur, the last name, H-U-R?
I think so. I don't know that I even care about his name.
All right. So anyway, the investigation into Biden document scandal, whatever, is closed. They're not going to charge him with anything, but now they're trying to paint a picture of him being mentally incompetent. And we just played a video of Trump just literally speaking gibberish for for probably like 2-3 hours, usually at a rally. This is Biden speaking out against the alleged cognitive decline, and he's not happy about it at all.
Nor should he be.
No, I love hearing this guy speak, though.
I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions are not only misleading, they're just plain wrong. On page 215, if you had a chance, I know it's a thick document. On page 215, the report of the special counsel found the exact opposite. Here's what he wrote. There is, in fact, a shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan. On page 12, the special counsel also wrote for another documents. The decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward. The evidence suggests that Mr. Biden did not willfully retain these documents. The evidence said I did not willfully retain these documents. In addition, I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of... Every Memorial Day we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away.
Okay, now I want to compare that again. I'm going to replay this other video. And you tell me who's mentally incompetent, okay? Let's do this. I love it. And the music is very appropriate, I think, too.
Part of it. You saw what happened in Atlanta with Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani. I know all about the marbles. I can tell you every marble. But these beautiful columns that are incredible how they could have done it years ago without the powerful tractor. During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. I cooperated with the very unfriendly and hostile feds. I cooperated far more than Biden did, who sent records to Chinatown. They're trying to make it the other way. No, Biden fought them very hard, and they never got...
Okay, you get the point. All right. Biden may be slower than he used to be. Yeah, he's 81 years old. Yes, he's old. But as far as who's more on point, man, come on. You cannot compare the two.
I mean, I'd love to
Biden
have a president candidate that was actually young enough not to be bringing these up as questions as to whether or not they're senile and doddering. I mean,
plus,
people their age are considered unfit for the workplace anywhere except for our government. But
he wouldn't be out speaking to world leaders if he was. Well, I guess he would because Trump did it. I was going to say if he was completely incompetent.
How about this?
No, Trump actually
How about
did.
this? We are losing sight, and we can never lose sight of. Yes, as much as voting for the lesser of two evils is a shitty position to be in, we're not doing that here. What we're voting for is fascism or not fascism. That's it. That's it.
Now I understand with the economy, you have record numbers like the stock market. Like most people don't really get directly affected by the stock market. I mean, the stocks go up.
Rich people are doing great. Rich Republicans are doing wonderful.
But if stocks go down, the prices go up, and then we pay for it as a result of people.
Because they got to keep their profit.
These are some things that Biden has accomplished, despite having the most useless Congress in American history, thanks to the GOP and the MAGA. American Rescue Plan during COVID, $1 trillion infrastructure bill, bipartisan Safer Communities Act, unemployment at record lows, the PACT Act for veterans, which his son died from, was exposed to toxic burn pits, Inflation Reduction Act, Green New Deal to reduce greenhouse gases, record stock market numbers, created over 13 million jobs. And yes, even if you adjust for post-COVID regaining of jobs, he still has far outpaced, I think, any other president. Or has he created more jobs than any other president in 3 years? It has to be a record.
No, it is.
And here's the thing: the economy actually
and
is
student debt relief, just debt relief, paying off student loans that have been haunting students for decades. Sorry, go ahead, Tammy.
The economic numbers actually are showing that we're doing better under Biden than we have in a long time, if not ever. The reality is, though, that the media has been pushing this narrative that the economy's bad for so long that people believe it. Recent polling showed that I believe it was just 35% of people thought the economy was doing well. But yet when asked how their individual financial situation was going, 70% or more of people thought that their individual financial situation was stable or going well and had confidence that it would get better within the next year. The economy's bad, but my personal life is good. It's just everything else that's wrong.
That is like a cognitive dissonance there.
And
it's exactly
unfortunately,
dissonance.
Most people in the country that are not educated in the way things work judge the economy by two things: food and gas prices. They think the economy is doing good if gas prices and everything is low.
Yes.
If gas prices are high, oh my God, the economy sucks. I mean, it's literally how people think. It's hilarious.
Of course, we're like painting egg prices as something that's a reflection of inflation.
Economic standards.
I know.
The fact that we had avian flu that forced to be having over 1 million chickens killed off in the West Coast alone, if I remember correctly.
And we even talked about that 53% of the price gouging is driven by corporate greed. Over half. We did. I think it was last show we talked about it.
Yeah, like people forget. There is no law that says a company can just not charge more than they did the day before. So coupled with a avian flu situation cutting some production, they use that as an excuse to be like, oh no, we're just going to
think about it. This is how prices always go up. It comes in phases. Like something bad happens, prices go up. And then everything gets better, and then the prices don't come down. They stay where they were at. They stop going up, but they stay at the elevated price. Then something else happens. Prices go up. And then everything gets better. It's a cycle.
Antitrust laws, anti-gouging acts have all been rolled back and cut back under Republican leadership over the last 3 decades.
And that's all they care about is greed, money, power. It's literally it. They could give a shit about the rest of the country.
And now they're not getting those donations anymore because Kevin McCarthy, who was one of their biggest fundraisers,
was one of their biggest fundraisers.
He was good at making the money for it.
I mean, it's the beginning of the end, I think. Over the next few months, they're going to get demolished. There's more indictments coming out, I think, against more people.
Please let my fears about what's going to happen in Congress in the next election turn to be wrong.
Yeah. Congress?
I do not trust the senatorial election, though, unfortunately, just because of which seats are up. But that's
Mike Johnson and I mean, there's other people. What's their name? The one that wants to be Elise Stefanik.
Oh, Stefanik. Stefanik, as Trump calls her. Yeah.
She said if she was VP when Donald Trump was the last election, that she probably would have helped him overturn the election. And now we have Mike Johnson, who is an open election denier and has to certify the vote. He's the freaking head of.
I want to say one more time: Mike Pence is not someone to be admired. He literally did his job. Okay, I'm surprised he did it, but he did it, and he's vilified.
How many people don't want to do
But you have a Mike Johnson who is a proud and loud and out member of the Christian nationalist movement. He supports Project 2025. He supports the federal abortion ban. He supports rolling back equal rights for LGBTQ. I guarantee you he wouldn't let his daughter marry a black guy. I mean, let's call, I hate to say it, in an irony, let's call a spade here. Mike Johnson is a bigger threat to the security of our elections than Mike Pence ever was.
I will give a moment of this is scary. He's actually made moves to put the MAGA movement out of their ability to do very much inside the House by going around them and actually passing bipartisan stuff. What the hell? You could not have paid me enough money to put a bet down that would have happened.
Right.
But at the same time, I am not going to let that fool me for a second into thinking that he is anything but what he's always been.
He's a snake.
That's because the MAGA movement and the Mike Johnson-led Christian nationalist movement are not the same movement. Ironically, a word they don't like, there is an intersectionality there, but they are not codependent. Mike Johnson's smart enough to use the MAGA movement to do whatever they can squeeze out of what's left of them. But his movement is the Christian nationalist movement, not the Trump movement.
He also
but we can't have people like this high up in power. We can't.
Also smart enough to realize if they don't end up passing a budget and they can't get that off the agenda before the elections are coming around, it's going to just highlight and illustrate how incompetent they are. So he has to get that out of the media.
He at least understands how politics works.
Last video, and then we're going to wrap it up. Actually, I think we're good. Let's play the Kamala Harris video. She reacts to what was said about Biden as well. I think it's important that she gets this voice in the matter too.
And the president was in front of and on top of it all, asking questions and requiring that America's military and intelligence community and diplomatic community would figure out and know how many people were dead, how many are Americans, how many hostages, is the situation stable? He was in front of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national security, not to mention our allies around the globe. For days, and up until now, months. So the way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated, gratuitous. And so I will say that when it comes to the role and responsibility of a prosecutor in a situation like that, we should expect that there would be a higher level of integrity than what we saw.
You know what I love about her? Just a quick thing. What I love about her is she is confident in her ability to just steamroll any criticism that she's going to get. She is not going to be bound by the watch out, don't be portrayed as an angry black woman by the racists. She's like, I don't care. I'm going to get my point across, and I'm going to tell you how it is, and I'm going to show you why you are monsters and scumbags and little baby bullies on the schoolyard. And she just doesn't care. And I would use her more. Get her out. Get her on every television show. Get her doing, I mean, if she wants to come on our show, that'd be great. But get her out there and just put her out there and have her championing. Maybe not even going for championing Biden himself, but man, have her sell those accomplishments because she can really draw a room to what she's saying. She is very good at commanding the speech.
She is good.
It's almost like a prosecutorial attorney not being bullied up in front of people or something. I don't know. It's almost like it's been something.
Them crazy, strong, professional women.
All right.
You can't trust
That's
them.
all we have for today. Tammy, thank you for being back on the show. I hope you had fun this time. These are a little more fun than doing the real hard research topics that we do. Because some of these topics are exhausting to talk about. They really are. So I hope you had a little bit more fun this time. We will be back on, what is today? Damn it. My days are running together.
It's Sunday?
We'll be back on
Super Bowl
Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Talking about Carrie Lake.
and any potential Super Bowl controversies. We'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like how much airtime Taylor Swift had?
I just want to point out.
I don't watch football anymore at all.
I have made a bunch of Taylor Swift Super Bowl memes, and I'm going to be blasting them out constantly throughout the Super Bowl.
Because I'm going to post them on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys have a good night. We're going to end this show with a Lincoln Project data that I think is appropriate. So, love everybody. Thanks for all the new support. Again, we're just getting warmed up, so stay tuned. And thanks for following. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Every election is a choice. And the choice this election is more important than any we've ever faced. America can choose to move forward or go backward to a time not long ago that almost broke us apart. Have so many already forgotten what the Trump years were? chaos, corruption, ugliness, cruelty, violence, a wrecked economy, and over 500,000 dead Americans. That's the past that Trump's presidency brought, and it would be our future, too.
2024 is the final battle.
He's worse than ever, unstable and angry, petty and cruel, promising dictatorship and retribution.
I am your warrior. I am your justice.
Assuring his legions of unhinged fanatics that he is their instrument of vengeance. He's not even hiding it. And not one American can hide from it. This election is a choice between what has been and what could be.